During his 25-year rule, Saddam governed strictly by fear. He abused, tortured and killed tens of thousands of his own people. He was especially harsh to the Kurds in the north, who fought hard for their independence. To fight this battle, he set up many torture chambers around the country, none more horrific than the infamous torture centre of Amna Surkra. Welcome to the Redhouse. So this would have been the headquarters of Saddam's intelligence agency, certainly in the north anyway, where thousands of people, men, women, children as young as 14 or 15, would have been kept here, tortured, horrendous conditions, and then eventually executed. And then in 1991, the Kurdish rebels liberated the city, freed the prisoners, or who was left, and then turned it into a museum just to show exactly the type of monster and tyrant that Saddam was. But now, yes, we're going to go through some of the rooms, learn a wee bit about Kurdish history, what they've gone through as a result of Saddam Hussein, and see, I suppose, the number of people who have died and were abused and tortured, and see some of the methods in some of the torture rooms. So yes, it's not going to be easy, but welcome to the Redhouse. Alright guys, so just to start our tour around the exhibition, we have arrived in, and I know, the mirror room. So as you can see here, there's a vast number of mirrors, I think about 182, which represents a life lost in the Kurdish region. This is just so this is for the Kurds, who Saddam was particularly harsh on. Bit of an understatement, to be honest. And each of these lights, if you can get an idea of the scale of this place, by the way, take a look. Each of these lights represents a village that was destroyed by Saddam on his quest to, I suppose, retain as much power and control as he could, because the Kurds were... Wow, it goes on.
One of the houses in the village is how they live.
So they basic amenities, basic infrastructure,
villages,
and yeah. So this is one of the villages as opposed to in the main towns. Okay. So here we are now on top of one of Saddam Hussein's old tanks. And as you can see, the Kurds are, I suppose, showcasing these as just a little reminder of what happens. Various different tanks here. You've got surface-to-air missiles, lorries in the background, and the Kurds have a history and a habit of being fairly resistant. And what sort of year would this have been? The last year it would have been in operation?
During the Iraq-Iran war, so from 1980.
But I mean against the Kurds?
Yeah, because like the revolution, look, it's how the revolution started. With Iraq-Iran war, it started in 1980 until 1988. After 1988, the Kurds, Saddam Hussein started to attack them, and from 1988 until 1991. So all this,
okay,
that's like civil.
Okay, so late 80s, early 90s. Alright guys, we are only in room 2, and I don't know what to say, but this is a room full of mines that would have been planted by Saddam's regime on the border of Iran and Turkey, which would have been obviously within the region of Kurdistan and within its people. And what quite a lot of people would have done was, if they felt unsafe in Iraq, they would have no choice but to go into the likes of Iran, across the border into Turkey. And Saddam knew this, so he set mines all along the border, and there was no warning signs. There was, it was just a death trap, to be honest. Like some of these mines, these are actually existing original mines, which have obviously had the explosives and insides of them taken out, and they're just here. Like, this is exactly what it would have been like, maybe not just as many, but across the border you would have had these mines dotted all over the place. Here, I'm guessing probably some mortar rounds too. And this is somebody who's obviously more recently given the task of trying to find them. But check out, this is interesting. Check this out. This is really good, right? So this is a list of the countries where mines were actually created and planted in Kurdistan. So obviously you've got America, you've got China, Soviet Union, few other ones I'm surprised at. Not surprised at Yugoslavia, Portugal, a bit surprising. But yes, just have a look at this. And then now these are a list of countries which participated in the demining of Kurdistan. So right, so these countries supply the mines and these countries help remove the mines. Do you notice anything? That should not surprise you. Alright guys, we're just coming into the Hall of Martyrdom, which was dedicated to that man who helped clear some of the mines, but unfortunately lost his life. So yes, these are this is incredible. These are some of the images here on the right hand side during the fight between Kurdish forces and ISIS, and on your left these are the martyrs and the people who had died of all ages. And this is from one of the militias, YPG. An incredible number. Obviously some of the injuries caused, they're tough, the Kurds, women too as well, fought for the cause. It's YPJ. So just to give you an idea of the current geography and border, so this is Iraq and Syria, and this is the border. We are now about here, I think. And this is what it looked like during this is what it looked like during ISIS occupation.
By the way, there are some places like here, Baghdad or this one. It's not fully like controlled, just because some of them enter.
But this shows you the huge area that was taken by ISIS almost 10 years ago. So here, some of the stamps that ISIS used to stamp and improve their documents: administration office, security office, judicial office. What else do we have? Media, governor's office. And this is a genuine knife that would have been used by ISIS for a number of things, let's just say. More people dead. A couple of photos of ISIS, maybe a public execution. ISIS in Mosul. Is this at the mosque in Mosul?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the mosque. And then the Kurdistan flag, which you have the green for the landscape, the white for peace, the red for the blood, and then the sun for the revival of Kurdistan. So next room, guys, we are in the room which takes you through the various different maps and operations of the Anfal genocide. So let me just show you the huge number of names, huge number of images of people who had died, clothes of victims, the number of missing children, 9,646 missing children. Bodies were never found. So these are images of the people who had died in one of the many prisons that were set up by Saddam. Their corpse was left to rot in the prison, never buried, and often ate by the dogs of the prison guards, just to degrade the Kurds even more. So we've just arrived into the prison, and the first room we're going to look at is the women's prison room. Let's have a look. So in this room of about 20 square metres, around 50 women, one toilet, no shower, just a hole in the ground, and 50 women, you get about less than half a square metre each. Half a square metre. It's cold, it's very cold. So from one of the prison rooms, the prisoners would be blindfolded, and if they were to be tortured like many of them were, they'd be taken through this alley, up these steps, and into these torture rooms. As you can see for this one, we have a mannequin. The wood would have been used to insulate the sound so other prisoners couldn't hear the screaming of prisoners who were in here, so they didn't expect a thing. I think they knew what was coming. But here, with this one, you can see obviously possibly electrodes coming from, this is possibly a battery, up to his ear or his neck. And as well, they would have also attached, you know, weights of 20 kilos, 30 kilos, 40 kilos to the groin of men and just let them hang there. This very desk would have been used by the various investigators, if you like, people who had asked questions. And I think this very desk was owned and used by the famous Chemical Ali, who was responsible for the chemical attack in the north, in Halabja. This is an example of another one of the rooms. Let me just show you what it was used for. 8 square metres for psychological torture, leaving the door open so residents could hear the groans and moans of tortured detainees. This other room, slightly bigger, 20 square metres, for hanging the detainees. Electrical shocks, pressing heated irons on their bodies, hitting them with cables and letting electrical currents pass through their sensitive organs. So another room here, guys, another torture room at 16 square metres. Would have been used for general torture, hitting the soles of their feet, hitting their back. There's not really any information that they were trying to get out of these prisoners, but it was just a way of torture to humiliate them. And fucking hell, you need to be a monster. Just think of what happened in these very rooms. Guys, let me show you what solitary confinement looks like in this prison. God, it's the size of my ensuite. Where do you put your head? Fucking hell. All about psychological torture. So one of the guides was telling us that the first type of torture new inmates would go through is psychological torture. So they're usually handcuffed to the wall and left for, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. And then passing guards would put out their cigarette, punch them, kick them. Fuck me. And that's light compared to what they usually go through. Very, very mild. Okay guys, we're about to go in now to a room which was used to detain boys, anyone considered under 18. And what Saddam actually done in the end was arrange a committee so they could legally change these boys' ages from under 18 to over 18 so they could be executed. It's 40 square metres, actually it's less, it's 15 square metres, and it takes up to 40 boys, which is about a third of a square metre each. Fuck man, let's check it out. There we go. Tiny room, possibly 40 people, and then one toilet. Obviously here you get the messages which are engraved on the wall, and this is one of them, which is here. My name is Musa, jailed in one of the corners of the cell. I was detained at my home. I was only 15 years old. They changed my age to 18 to be executed. Then I said, Mother, Father, I'm about to be executed by baptism. We will never meet again. That's a new level. Changing their age. This guy wasn't even near 18, he was 15.